Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Lord protect us both, teacher and the taught together. May the Lord protect us by giving us the results of knowledge. May we attain vigor together. Let what we study be illuminating. May we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. So, we were studying the Katha Upanishad and the story of Yama and Nachiketa. The little boy, Nachiketa, has gone to the house of Yama, and there he waits for 3 days, 3 nights, because the Lord of Death is not at home. And when the Yama comes back, he feels himself indebted to this little boy because he hasn't been able to take care of his guest. And he offers him 3 boons to make up for making him wait for 3 days and nights, although inadvertently. Now, the 3 boons, this is a famous story. So the 3 boons Nachiketa asks for, is very interesting to see what he asks for. I think I'm at no risk of spoiling the story because it's so old, I think everybody knows it. So the 3 boons, the first boon was Nachiketa asked for his father's peace of mind, that I will go back to the world of the living when permitted by you. My father will recognize me. My father will love me all again. And let my father's mind be at peace. Let his anger subside. So all of that. If you take a broad view of it, what he's asking for is this world, for his affairs to be set straight in this world. Let things go well in this life. That's one boon. The second boon he will ask for now. Second boon is the boon of heaven after death, after this world. What's the best thing one can conceive of? What is the best thing one can aspire towards is heaven. So he's going to ask for Swarga, heaven. And then finally, the highest of all, the third boon, which is of course the point of the entire book, the point of the entire story, point of the entire text also. Third boon is about Vedanta, about moksha, spiritual liberation, the ultimate destiny of human life, of life itself, enlightenment, freedom, whatever you call it. So Vedanta, third part is Vedanta. The second part, which we're going to go into, is the ritualistic portion of the Vedas, which is known as Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda literally means the ritualistic portion. Karma means rituals here. Karma means action, but in this case, it means ritualistic action prescribed in the Vedas. And the first part was the secular part of his life, that things go well in life. So now we are going to go into the second boon. He's going to ask for, how do I go to heaven? So already he asked for his father's peace of mind and going back and being loved by his father again. And Yama promised him that. He says, exactly as you want it, so it will be. Now, he's going to ask for heaven in the next few verses, next few mantras. So in the 12th mantra, which we will read now, we have already done the 11th mantra, I think. So 12th mantra, which we'll read now, he will set his case for heaven. Why does he want this? Suddenly, what happened? Why does he want to go to heaven? This is after death. And then also, how? And what can Yama do for him? So that will be in the 13th mantra. Before I jump into it, just a little bit of an introduction. What is going on here? One must remember that this is in the context of the Vedas. So this vast corpus of ancient literature, the bulk of which is concerned with various rituals prescribed for getting what you want here now in this life. and also ensuring for yourself the best possible life after death. You might say that, how do you know any of that will work after death? In this life, at least we can know if it works or not. I perform this ritual and I want rainfall, or I want to conquer my enemies. I want lots of, like a bountiful harvest, or my children should be healthy and good. I can see whether it worked or not in my life itself. In the months and years ahead, I'll see whether the effect is there, what was promised. So this is called drishta phala. In Sanskrit, drishta phala. Drishta means seen, experienced. Seen or experienced where? In this life. We will see whether it works or not. Phala is result. Drishta phala, seen result. But adrishta phala is also there, unseen result. So the unseen result might be, after death, I shall go to heaven. And the heavens also were categorized into multiple layers. Many, many kinds of heavens were there, many kinds of worlds. So one cosmology, the most popular one, which you, in Vedanta, sir, if you remember, 14 worlds, Chaturdasha Bhuvanani, 14 worlds were talked about. 7 of them are good, including this one, the one where we are, better and better. This is the worst of the good ones. It's sort of a very mixed kind of experience. Samsara, where we are, the Matya Loka, the world of the mortals. But there are other worlds above us, 6 other worlds, which are finer and finer and better above, means not physically above us, but they are on a different plane of existence. Maybe some other universe or something like that, or virtual worlds, who knows? Will be uploaded into the cloud after death. But they're all much better than us. And how much better, Nachiketa himself will tell us that I want to go to those worlds. And those worlds, and among them, the best one is called Brahmaloka. The highest one is called Brahmaloka. Another name is Satyaloka. Basically, the heaven which theistic religions talk about, the Vaikuntha of the Vaishnavas, the Kailasha of the Shaivas, the Christian heaven, the Muslim, Islamic heaven, even some Buddhist heavens are also mentioned. They are what is indicated in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas as the Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, the highest one, where you live in the presence of God. And it is a spiritual place. But it's also a place of perfection. All kinds of unhappinesses go away there. So, and below below means worse than our present existence, there are hells. So there also there are 7 kinds of hells which are awful, and more awful as progressively. So now, how do you go to these heavens? By good karma. Depending upon your level of good karma, and the specific good karma was the Vedic rituals prescribed in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. Depending upon the amount of good karma you have got in your credit, it depends on what kind of heaven you're going to go to, how long you're going to stay there, and so on. The highest heaven is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, which he is going to ask for. And there, the idea is that if you reach there, it's a very elevated state of being. Once one reaches there, one actually does not come back to this world. One does not lose that until the end of creation, until the end of this particular universe, until the end of this particular srishti. So when this universe will die, at that time, what will happen is all those in Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, those who are not enlightened yet, even after this millions and millions of years in this amazing place, they will merge back into Prakriti. They will, they're all the samskaras, the individuality will merge back into Prakriti or Maya. And for an indefinite period, they will remain. There's actually no time there, because time also will disappear. Space, time, universe, everything will disappear. Only what will be left? Saguna Brahman, Vishnu, Narayana in Ksherasagara, the whole symbology of the Sheshanaga, 1,000-hooded serpent, and God taking a nap. So that will be the state. And that's a symbology, but just it means it's like a state of suspended animation. No universe is there. Next universe, when it is created, all those beings will again be projected back, along with all other beings who are there, who have been whirling around in samsara in many kinds of worlds. These are the best kinds of beings who were in Brahmaloka, but not attained illumination. But some during their stay in Brahmaloka itself, they attain illumination. Illumination means they realize Aham Brahmasmi, they get moksha. And so they will not be reborn anymore. For them, the cycle is over. Others will have to come back. And below this Brahmaloka are many other worlds, all heavenly worlds, but they are not of the excellence of the Brahmaloka. All of these are to be attained by Vedic rituals. Couple of points here. First of all, this is not a very familiar territory for most of us. The reason being, even if those of you who are practicing Hindus, the kind of rituals and pujas which were used to are of later origin. The world of Vedic ritualism, which was the religion that Nachiketa grew up seeing, which he saw his father doing and all people around doing, that world has faded into obsolescence. The karma kanda of the Vedas, it's there, but now it is mostly of academic interest. It is chanted. The mantras there are chanted by Vedic scholars. Some of the rituals are still performed, but the big ones which we'll talk about now, those have faded into obscurity. I know there are people who claim we can do those rituals, but they can't really. It's mostly guesswork and sort of reconstruction of what people have not done for centuries or millennia even. We have replaced them with the modern worship of, Shiva, Devi, Vishnu, Narayana, Krishna, Rama, the avatar worship, and so on. That's one point. So it's unfamiliar territory. Even one of the greatest scholars of the Karma Kanda whom I had met, he taught us Vedanta, but he was actually trained in Purva Mimamsa. He said to us that I study all this, but I really wouldn't know how to perform these rituals. Nobody does really. Some of these rituals, these are the more advanced ones. Nobody has performed them for centuries or even millennia. So it's unfamiliar territory. It's more academic interest now. But again, I must emphasize, not totally of academic interest, because all these portions of the Vedas are regularly chanted by thousands and thousands of Vedic like practitioners, Brahmins, even today. So that it's done in chanting, but the rituals themselves have become obscure. The second thing I wanted to say was that then how do I make it familiar? What is going on here? What is the point of this? And Vedanta will come later, but right now, all this which will be discussed now, what is going on here? It is nothing very odd or strange. It is actually very something we are all familiar with. It is conventional religion. If you look around in temples, churches, mosques, New Age spirituality, most of it, all of these, the bulk of it, the people who go to these places who are following some kind of religion, most of it is for getting a good life here, and for those who believe in heaven, for going to heaven afterwards. So this is it's not for, so someone might ask, then what could it be for? It is not, most of this conventional religion is not for enlightenment, nirvana, moksha, brahmagyana, realization of my nature as the absolute. No. You are very much in a minority. Those who are gathered here, we see 85 people. So we are all in a very small minority. Majority of religious people, devout people, what do they want when they're religious? They want a good life here, and enlightened life. Enlightened means a nice life, a wise life, ethical life, a fulfilling life here, and maybe something after that, something equally good or better. I'm reminded of, I mentioned earlier, that book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. So she wrote another book recently, The Ultimate Secret. This neatly shows us the division between Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. So the secret, the general idea there was, it's a very new agey idea, but in principle, it's the same as Karma Kanda. The greatest secret or the ultimate secret? Rick, the new one is called The Ultimate Secret, I think, or Greatest Secret. Okay. And in between, but we have to check, because in between there were a number of other books in the secret series. So many types of secrets, but the ultimate one, I think, so the last one is about non-duality, about Advaita. And she has discovered non-duality. She's written about that. But the point of it was that there is a way of fulfilling our desires. That's what karma kanda promises you. That's what conventional religion promises you. And that's what the first book in the series, The Secret, promises you. And that's why it was so tremendously attractive. You can see why karma kanda is so tremendously attractive and why Nachiketa would want to know these things. So it is very attractive, but it is worldly or otherworldly. It's not spiritual. All right, one more point before I go into it. The systems of Hindu philosophy, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, and Vedanta. Now, they are all based on the Vedas. These very Vedas we can talk about. Upanishads, and before that, the Karma Kanda. They form the textual basis of all of these philosophies. They all accept the Vedas. If they all accept the Vedas, how are they different? They sort of developed in different ways, the different specialities. So, for example, the Nyaya philosophy, they all promise moksha. They all promise ultimately they are about liberation and moksha. But the Nyaya philosophy specialized, developed logic. So the rules of debate, logical analysis, all this was highly developed in the Nyaya philosophy, and other systems used it. Vaisheshika philosophy developed a study of the universe, the categories, what is real, 7 categories of reality. They developed that. The Sankhya philosophy developed this idea of pure consciousness as opposed to nature. The Yoga philosophy specialized in developing techniques of meditation and contemplation. The Purva Mimamsa, so Vedanta specializes in, Upanishads, enlightenment, realization, I am Brahman, and freedom through the realization. So Vedanta is par excellence the Vedic philosophy. It is based entirely on the Upanishads and develops that. However, in between, there is this entire philosophy called Purva Mimamsa, which means the earlier analysis. Purva Mimamsa. The earlier analysis means the analysis of the earlier portion of the Vedas, which is the bulk of the Vedas, which is the karma kanda, the ritualistic portion. So there is a whole system, very complex, a very rich system of orthodox philosophy, Hindu philosophy, based on these rituals. That is called Purva Mimamsa. So these philosophers, they were experts they developed the techniques of textual analysis, hermeneutics. So there is a text, there are certain mantras. Now, what do these mean? How are they to be used? In which ritual, which mantras are to be chanted? Which mantras are talking about the result of the ritual? Which mantras are talking about the procedure of the ritual? Which mantras are just meant to be chanted during the ritual? All of these things, how do you extract the meaning from these texts? What we today call hermeneutics. That was developed to great sophistication by these Purva Mimamsakas. We saw a sample of their work when we were studying Vedanta Sara, how to analyze the Mahavakya. All these techniques, we cannot claim, as in Vedanta, we cannot claim the glory of having developed this, because it's all developed by the Purva Mimamsakas. We are using it under license from Purva Mimamsakas. All right. Having said this, so what we are entering now is the territory it's not our territory. It's the territory of the Purva Mimamsakas. Famous Purva Mimamsaka was Kumarila Bhatta, Prabhakara. These are all famous Purva Mimamsakas who lived just before, or they were elder contemporaries of Shankaracharya. So they sort of developed Purva Mimamsa to its very high level of development. So when you study Indian philosophy, you're introduced to all the systems. So we are going to study Vedanta. As monks, our main field of study is Vedanta, because we are Vedantic. Our philosophy is Vedanta, but we were introduced to all these other philosophies. So Nyaya Vaisheshika, we studied the introductory text with some commentaries. Nyaya Vaisheshika, we studied Tarka Sangraha. And then for Sankhya, we studied Sankhya Karika. For yoga philosophy, we studied the Patanjali Yoga Sutra with the commentary of Vyasa. Then Purva Mimamsa, we were introduced to Purva Mimamsa by a classical text called Artha Sangraha. We studied that. And for Vedanta, We are introduced by Vedanta Sara, which we did before this. All right, that's the background. So we are entering an area which is not entirely our area. Our area means the area of Vedanta. What is the area of Vedanta? Upanishads. You'll say, but this is the Upanishad. True, but this is the complexity of the whole subject. The Upanishads are part of much broader texts, the Vedas. So the Vedic context is always reflected in the Upanishads. Almost every Upanishad, you will find discussion of Vedic rituals. Not much compared to the vast amount of discussion which has gone on before. But some discussion will be there, like this, what's going to start now. Mandukya is very serious. So it gets down to the I am Brahman business very fast and ignores all of this. But all other Upanishads, you have to be patient. This kind of discussion of rituals will be there. Certain meditations will be discussed, which may not seem directly relevant to Vedanta. All right. Okay. Let's go into this. Now, what is going to happen? Nachiketa is going to talk about heaven, why he wants heaven, what's so great about going to heaven, and then how do I go to heaven? How can the Lord of Death, Yama, help him to go to heaven? Mantra number 12. Mantra number 12. Swarge loke na bhayam kinchanasti na tatratvam na jaraya bibheti ubheti tva ashanaya pipase shokati go modate swargaloke. In heaven, so this is Nachiketa speaking, in heaven there is no fear, you are not there, and nobody is struck with fear because of old age. Having transcended both hunger and thirst and crossed over sorrow, one rejoices in the heavenly world. So he makes a strong case for going to heaven. We are all for it, going to heaven. No, we are not for it. We'll see later why not. This just perpetuates samsara. It's a nice kind of samsara. Swami Vivekananda says, chains, though of gold, are not less strong to bind. The chains of gold are heaven. Par excellence is heaven. So what is so great about heaven? Swarge loke, swarga is heaven. Any kind of heaven is called swarga, but here he means probably, we are guessing, the highest heaven, the final heaven. Loka. What is loka? Loka just means a world, but wherever we can have experiences, where sentient beings have experiences. This is the precise definition of loka, world. In Sanskrit, lokyate, drishyate, bhujyate. Lokyate means where you see. So pretty similar to the English word look, where you see. But see means what? It means experience, not just see. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. You are there. The things and people and other entities are there. You can interact and you can get lots of experiences, pleasurable and painful. That is called a world. It applies very beautifully to our virtual worlds also. In computer science, you are creating virtual worlds. They are also lokas, literally. We are using the term, in fact, virtual world. So in this Swarga Loka, what happens? Na bhayam kinchanasti. There is no kind of fear, none at all. There is no fear at all. Why not? Well, first of all, the greatest of all fears is death. So Nachiketa is, you just remember, he's a little boy, so he's pretty cheeky. He already annoyed his father. Now he runs the risk of annoying the Lord of Death. He says, na tatratvam, you are not there. So a little boy, so he's not politically correct. He just says whatever comes to his mind. So it's a good place because you are not there. I'm sure that made Yama very happy. You, O death, you are not there. Na jaraya bhiveti. There is no old age also. So we are born in this life, in this world, then we grow, and then we come into youth, and then body starts decaying, middle age, old age, and then death. And there is a period from middle age to old age to death, which is a period of decay, actually. Now, in heaven, there's no such thing. What happens exactly? You might ask, wait a minute, how do you know all this? Have you been there? I don't know if I've been there, I have no memory, but the texts speak about it. So it's very much like our virtual worlds. You just appear there because of your past good karma. If you have earned a place in heaven, you appear there. There are no sufferings associated with birth. You appear there and you exist there for a very long time. Lower heavens, thousands and thousands of years, and the highest heaven until the end of the universe. You are there. But there is actually death. So this is the thing to be careful about. When the karma kanda, ritualistic portion of the Vedas, extol heaven as this wonderful place where you are immortal, where you drink the amrita, the drink of immortality, you are free of death. He says death is not there. All that it means is it's relatively free of death. The commentators make it clear, apekshika, relatively, not like the rest of us who are trapped in samsara, in this world, and lower worlds. We die, and then the sentient being which we are, we exist in some kind of limbo, some kind of world for some time, depending on our past karma. Again, we are reborn. Nachiketa pointed it out to his father. Like ordinary, what's the lot of most people, most sentient beings? They're born like corn and they die like corn of the fields, and they're reborn again like corn. If you, in one of the earlier mantras, he warned his father not to be unethical. If you're unethical, you're cast into the lot of this ordinary process of being whirled around. Many births, many deaths, many rounds of suffering on this wheel of samsara. Here, however, in heaven, you, O Lord of Death, you don't make your appearance so often. So as a god in heaven, god with small g, so you'll be a god in heaven with small g. The Sanskrit word is very evocative. Deva. Deva literally comes from the root div, to shine. So these are luminous beings. This is good for them. No, they are us. The best amongst us, good ethical people, they go and live like this, as these luminous beings of great grace and power. I think that's where the Christian concept, Abrahamic concept of angels comes from. Beings of great grace and power and all. So there are such beings, and there are different gradations. They are relatively free of death, because they will continue to exist. At one time, they will die, but that's also sudden. So they appear, you stay there, no sign of old age, no disease, no decay, no 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. They are there for thousands and thousands of years. And I don't know if they get bored or something, but anyway, apparently there is no boredom either, because they are very happy. And then when your good karma runs out, so they again descend back into the storm of samsara, into being whirled around in samsara again. So that's death. That's there, but in the long run, the usual fears are not there. The fear of death is not there. Fear of old age is not there. Bill, who's the oldest among us, he often says, old age is not for sissies. Old age, you have to be a really tough person to bear old age. It's not there. So it's a very attractive proposition. No fear of old age either. And our day-to-day problems. Ashanaya pipasa. Ashana means hunger. Pipasa means thirst. One overcomes, one transcends hunger and thirst. That means there is no hunger and thirst. Whatever one wants, hunger and thirst is just a placeholder for everything one could want. So no old age, no death, but in the meantime, you're there for thousands of years. What do? Whatever you want, all your desires are fulfilled. And there is, in the world in the mortal world, everybody, from the tiniest animals to us human beings, we are toiling away for food and shelter. And in the animals, it is most obvious. All the time, if you see in the wild, most of the time and energy is spent in searching for food and for keeping themselves safe. So that struggle is overcome. Whatever one wants, not just food and drink, but everything comes. Not only that, there is no tiredness, no disease. You may enjoy life there in heaven, and you will not get exhausted by it. So all these wonderful things, you have this extraordinary body there, like a Superman or something, which will not get exhausted. So it all sounds very attractive. So one transcends all of that. Not only that, whatever the commentator says, whatever one may desire, you get it instantaneously without effort, something like Amazon Prime. And so you have a series of things which are desirable, and you select one, it is delivered to you. It, like magic, it appears, it is given, it is delivered to you. 1 day delivery. There also not even 1 day, 1 minute, maybe a few seconds, whatever you want. Pretty much like that. Notice how all this may sound like a fable to us modern people, but it's basically we are constructing and reconstructing our world in that image. It's exactly what we are trying to achieve in this world. What we people want, we don't want to suffer from old age, we don't want to suffer from death, we want to prolong our lives as long as we can live. We don't want to suffer from suffering in, from the minutest of little problems. I want something, I must have it. Not only I must have it now. So look at how we have designed our economic systems, commercial systems, everything, production, to keep on satisfying our desires, more and more variety immediately, and so on. You say, but we need money here. That's true. In heaven, you need good karma. So you have a credit. Your credit card is there plugged into the heavenly bank. And whenever you keep on satisfying those desires, you are using up that credit, good karma. So you transcend all wants, all needs. It's a fine place to be. Shokatigo, you transcend sorrow. So all the, not only all happinesses are there, all the causes of sorrow also are not there. So sorrow could be a physical sorrow from inclement weather. Weather is always perfect. It's all climate controlled all the time. Then from physical weaknesses, perfect health, extraordinary health. Even the finest Olympic athlete will not have such health. You have that all the time. Then see, Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika, Adhyatmika. 3 kinds of sorrows are not there. So sorrows caused by other living beings. Everybody is perfect and nice to you. There was a TV serial in television. They called it Good Place. I read about it. A philosophy. They actually contacted philosophers to give inputs to make the TV serial like that. So the idea was, what could heaven be like? So people are nice to you. I mean, other heavenly beings. Because they are heavenly beings, they're obviously nice to you, and so everything is perfect. There is no harassment from anybody else. All your heavenly neighbors are absolutely wonderful neighbors. Everything is perfect. So you transcend all the causes of sorrow. No financial problems also. All causes of sorrow are transcended. Then modate, you enjoy. Won't you get bored? No. Life is one long party. Modate. Modate is enjoy life there. Where is this wonderful place? Swargaloke, in the heavenly worlds. And there are grades of it. So everything is wonderful. What's the American term? Hunky-dory. Everything is hunky-dory there in heaven. But not entirely so. There are some problems. What problem? There is apparently a great problem of jealousy. So the gods are jealous of each other. What we find, their gods are jealous of each other, and those who dwell in the lower heavens are jealous of those who are in the higher heavens. I remember we had this novice who was very simple many years ago, when we joined the order. So this novice, young brahmachari, he asked our senior Swamiji once about these heavens. When we were studying these texts, he said, so the highest heavens, if you are there, can you visit the lower heavens? The senior Swami said, whatever for? Why would you want to do that? He said, no, just to show off, just see, I'm so much better than you. I'm better off than you. And to scold them. In Bengali, he said, just to scold them a little bit, just show off them, show your power. It is very simple that way. Yes. So that's one problem. They're jealous of each other. They are, even though they're in other worlds, they're still very worldly people with these beings. And if you look at the mythology, they're always being attacked by demons. So that's another problem. You have a demon infestation problem. You have to call pest control to take care of the demons. That's one problem there. What else? And it all comes to an end. It all comes to an end. All of it is entirely limited. And most importantly, none of it is satisfying. Even after all of this, every possible desire satisfied, you still feel dissatisfied because you are infinity. None of these limited enjoyments are ever going to fulfill you. So that is heaven. Great, I want to go there. So Nachiketa, he asks for going to heaven. How will you go there? What is that particular Vedic ritual by performing which I go to heaven? You are the master of these rituals. You have all this knowledge. Please teach it to me. One little, I would say, footnote here. Nachiketa, we have already seen, is a pretty selfless kind of kid. All he wanted for his worldly affairs was his father to be all right. Similarly, it's quite possible that he actually does not want heaven. But people desire this. He knows most of conventional religion is this. And he's seen it in his father and other people around him. So he wants to bring this knowledge from the secret knowledge of this highest Vedic rituals from the Lord of Death back to the earth so that he can give it to other people. So someone might say that, aren't you reading too much into this? How do you know? Because it clearly seems to say that he wants it for himself. He wants that as a boon. Because the next thing he asks for, the knowledge of Vedanta, which will lead into enlightenment, that requires dispassion. That requires what is called vairagya, dispassion, renunciation. Renunciation of what? Not only this world, but also heavens. In Vedanta Sara we read, Ihamutra phalabhoga viraga. A dispassion towards whatever nice things you can obtain here in this world. And also there, it says, Amutra means there. There means in heaven. All of that, you should have a clear dispassion for that. So Nachiketa has that. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask the third question. He would be perfectly happy with this. It's the highest thing one can attain, worldly thing or other worldly thing. So next, when he asks the question about Vedanta, you will see Yama tests him. So you will see Yama says that, what about heaven? I gave you the secret. I unlocked. He will give him the secret now. I unlocked the gates of heaven for you. Don't you want to go there? Go there and have fun in heaven. Don't ask for enlightenment and Vedantic knowledge. And Nachiketa clearly rejects all of this which he just said now, all the fun facts about heaven. One by one, Nachiketa sharply, he shows the faults of all of that, and he rejects it in no uncertain terms. So clearly he does not want it for himself. Yet he does ask for it, so it must be for the welfare of others, people who want it for them. And another point is that Yama actually will say a little later that people will know this ritual by your name, which means it's to be given to the people of the world, the mortals who want it. And they will know it as the ritual of Nachiketa. Now, he asks for that knowledge. Sattvam swargamadhyeshi mrityu prabruhitvam shraddadhanaya mahyam swargaloka amritatvam bhajanta etadvitiyena vrinevarena. Very beautiful poetry also. O death, such as you are, you know that fire which leads to heaven. Of that you tell me, who am full of faith. The dwellers of heaven get immortality. This I ask for through the second boon. So he asks for the second boon. What is that? Tell me about that Agni, that fire. So fire here has different meanings. Here fire means a particular ritual. And remember, whenever they say fire in the Vedic context, it just doesn't mean any kind of fire. It means the fire which has been lit or kindled ritualistically in the Homa kunda, in the place where it is the sacrificial altar, there, that fire, and with the accompaniment of chanting with the priest present. So that fire is mentioned, is meant when they say fire. Another meaning of fire is the whole ritual, the whole science of how do you go to heaven. That's what he's asking for. Tell me that whole, the technique, the ritual, how does, by performing which one gets enough karmic currency to go to heaven after death. Show me that. Adhyeshi. Adhyeshi here literally means teach me. Literally it means remember, but it means you remember the knowledge which you have. That means you express it to me. Mrityu, O Lord of death. Prabruhi, expound unto me. Prabruhi means expound, teach unto me, or speak thus unto me. I who am Shraddhadanaya Mahyam. I have faith in Vedic ritualism. So I'm a person who believes in the Vedic religion. I have faith. You tell me. So that faith is absolutely important. Otherwise, today in today's world, one might not be motivated to perform these rituals because one doesn't believe. Not that one doesn't have desires, but one just doesn't believe that these things exist, these heavens and all. I remember one of our masters, when we were novices, teaching us some other Upanishad around this thing about giving up the desire for these heavens if you want to get enlightenment and moksha, freedom. And we all were nodding along. And he said, not so fast, young monks. We who cannot give up the desire for a cookie, happily we say, oh, I don't want heaven. It's only because we have no faith at all. You know, modern people, we don't believe in such things. So if you really believed in it, you would understand the attraction of all this for the ancient people. In every religion, they would want these things. These are very elevated. But what we modern people have been trying to do is transform our modern societies into something like heaven. Then Swargaloka Amritatvam Bhajanta. So in heaven, Swargaloka here means not the worlds of heaven, but the dwellers in the worlds of heaven. They enjoy immortality. And this immortality is temporary. Temporary means it's pretty long compared to our lifespan. That's why it seems immortal to us. But ultimately, it's temporary. At the end of the universe, everything must come to an end. Even these heavens and the dwellers in heavens also will come to an end. A new cycle will begin after that. Then, so this is the promise. This is the request. Nachiketa's request. Teach me that ritual. Now, the Lord of Death, 14th mantra, he says, Prate bravimi tadume nibodha swargyamagnim nachiketa prajanan anantalokaptim atho pratishtham vidhi tvametam nihitam guhayam. O Nachiketa, being well aware of the fire that is conducive to heaven, I shall tell you of it. That very thing you understand with attention from my words. That fire, which is the means for the attainment of heaven and which is the support of the world, know it to be established in the intellect of the enlightened ones. I will now expound unto you. Death said, yes, granted, your boon is granted. What you wanted is granted. I'm going to teach you the highest form of Vedic rituals, which will take you to the best heaven. Listen to me carefully, he says. Attend to me. Nibodha, learn from me. This is the support of all the worlds. This is the highest heaven. And Nihitam Guhayam means it is well established in the intellects of the enlightened ones. Here, enlightened ones means the rishis who know about these Vedic rituals. So it's Rhonda, when she wrote the first book, The Secret. The Secret, she knows the secret. But what kind of secret? That's a different secret from the last one. That was the earlier secret which fulfills your worldly desires. Now the other secret, which the greatest secret is, which gives you enlightenment and freedom from from the world, from samsara. But here, enlightened means those who are knowers of that earlier secret, the karma kanda. They know of these things, and I'm going to tell you this, Yama says. Now, the narration changes. You see, there are different voices. Sometimes Nachiketa is speaking, sometimes the Lord of Death is speaking, sometimes Nachiketa's father is speaking, sometimes Yama's, the Lord of Death's minions are speaking, and sometimes the Upanishad itself is speaking. So now the Upanishads takes up the narration. What happened next? So this is, they say, a teachable moment. So Yama is going to teach Nachiketa, and the description of the teaching is given. By the way, if you are thinking, aha, let me write down that knowledge, Yama is going to tell us, you're going to be disappointed. None of that is revealed here. They just say that Yama taught him that, how to go to heaven. So that is a complex ritual. Some of it may be there in the Vedas. I mean, there are, he teaches Nachiketa how to construct the altar in which this fire is to be lit. So there's some guesswork on how the altar is constructed. Anyway, but the teaching is not there. But the important teaching is there later on, that is Vedanta, which is why we are here all together. So that's the third boon. Here it just says that Yama taught him, that's all. Lokadim agnim tamuvacha tasmai ya ishtaka yavatirva yathava sachapi tat pratyabadatyatoktam athasya mrityu punarevahatushta. Again, very nice poetry. Upanishad itself is telling, how did the teaching proceed? Death told him of that fire, which is the source of the world. World means the heaven, highest heaven. The class and number of bricks by which you construct the altar, as also the manner of arranging for the fire. So all the arrangements, what kind of altar is to be constructed and what kind of preparations are to be made for the ritual. And Nachiketa too repeated verbatim with understanding all these as they were spoken. It shows you the teaching methodology, the pedagogy. So there are no, you can't download. You have to listen carefully and repeat back whatever was taught. Then Death, being satisfied with this, said again. So next Death will take up. Just one little bit about a couple of points. One is the arrangement of the altar. I can show you the altar actually. This was the altar used in major Vedic ritualism. So it looks something like this, like a bird constructed of bricks. This is from one side, this is from the other side. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it looks like a bird? It's made of bricks. It's pretty complex. So Nachiketa must be super attentive to have learned all of that, and you repeat it back to the teacher. Now, this kind of teaching actually goes on even now, not about altars, but about Vedanta. In traditional Vedanta teaching, even now, they expect you to memorize the texts. So some of it is relaxed, that some of the mantras are to be memorized. So when we learned, I remember when we learned, they went easy on us. You don't have to memorize the entire Upanishad, though some of the brothers did that, some of the monks did that, but you memorize just the key verses, key mantras from the Upanishad. Often the teaching, even now, of course, everybody has a book, but the teacher comes, the master teaches, the students gather around, sit in meditation mats and listen to the teacher. And you are expected to at least be able to say what was taught. What did the teacher say? So you have to be attentive to that. May not be literally. Strict masters would require you to literally memorize the entire text and be able to repeat back. Sometimes whatever is done in this class is to be repeated in the next class, only then the class will start. So that kind of intensity is there. I know one or two masters who still do that. I can see why. It makes at least this much is there that it's entered into your head. I read this, and it's a true story because Swami Chinmayanandaji, who's the founder of the Chinmay mission, he has himself corroborated it. So when he went to the Himalayas to study Vedanta, um, actually, he did not originally go to study Vedanta. He was an investigative journalist. He thought that these monks in the Himalayas are all frauds, and he wanted to do a piece on them, exposing them all. But he went there and he became a monk himself. So uh, at first, he was inspired and taught by Swami Shivananda Saraswati from the Divine Life Society. So he says that when he became more and more aware of the depth and the profundity of Vedanta, and that the very existence of this huge body of classical knowledge that you need. So he said, I wanted to go to the source, the best teachers that there are, traditional teachers. So Swami Shivananda arranged for him to study under Tapovan Maharaj, who was a very traditional, very well-known teacher of Vedanta at that time, as a monk, very austere, harsh, strict. So all this I've heard. I've read about it later, so it's true. But I've heard also directly from Tapovan Swamiji's attendant, who was alive when I met him. He told me these stories. So finally, so the young Chinmayanandaji, he comes to Uttarkashi first and then Gangotri, about 10,000 feet high in the Himalayas, and sits with this small group of students under this one of the greatest living teachers at that time. So this was the traditional teaching environment for Vedanta. First of all, compulsorily you have to be a monk. I mean, you need not be an ordained monk, but you have to be a brahmachari. That means who is going to be a monk. You have renounced the world. Then only you are allowed to learn Vedanta. Then you find your own accommodations. He's not going to accommodate you in the school. There is no dorms or anything like that. You find your own hut or cave to stay. You will have to beg for food, or sometimes they all beg together and eat the food later on. And there'll be just two classes. It's terribly cold and pretty austere. They're harsh living. And there'll be two classes. All you get is two classes, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. As long as the sun is warm, you sit and you listen to Tapovan Swami, and that's it. I heard one incident where you're not allowed to have interactions and discussions, with the professor. A young monk once asked a question after the class, and the master Tapovan Swami just said, in Hindi, "Jaiye brahmachari ji, manan kijiye." And said, "You have done the Shravan, oh novice, go back to your hut or cave and reflect upon this." That's all. No answers. I'm not here to give you answers. So nowadays they would get a very low rating on Rate My Professor. Nowadays there's a website, you can rate your professors. And he had a strict rule. Every class, you would have to repeat back whatever was taught in the class earlier. Otherwise, that's it. You're done. You leave immediately. You can't come back again. Not in this lifetime. So you're done. So Swami Chinmayanandaji, once he missed. He was unable to recite some verse. And Tapovan Swami would roar. He knew that he was a journalist before becoming a monk. And his typical scolding would be, "This is Vedanta. This is not your journalism." So he was about to throw him out when the other monks who were there in the class, they begged on his behalf, and so he relented. So it was that strict. And Chinmanji has himself written about these things. One more incident, which is Vedanta, of course. We're jumping far ahead of our what we're discussing here. But again, because the discussion is about Tapovanji and Chinmayananji. So Chinmayanji's one essay has written about Tapovanji, how one day so he could never really understand that since we are that absolute reality, what more is necessary? I am Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss. And the rest of the world, whatever all this is an appearance in Brahman, it's inconsequential. Why does this add on about Ishvara, Maya, Jiva, Jagat? Why are all these things taught in Vedanta? And what's the point? I understand in conventional religion, fine, you may have God, worship, devotion, fine, all that. But why here? Why not only I am Brahman, realize it, finished. That's it. So one day, he writes, in the afternoon class, suddenly the master, Tapovan Swami, said to him, I need a drink of water. Get me some water. So Chinmayanji thought that was strange. Normally, he never asked for water in the middle of a class. So he went with his water pot and I think a brass glass of water, a tumbler. He went to the river, which is you have to go some way down, descend into it. It's a fast flowing, the Ganga there in Gangotri. And he filled it up and he brought it back. And he offered the glass full of Ganga water to the master and immediately received a harsh scolding. Said, what is this? The glass of water. What did I ask for? He said, you asked for water. And what did you bring? A glass of water. Why the glass? I asked you for water. And Chinmayanji says, I was stunned. That's because of his highly advanced of his spiritual nature. He immediately got what was being said. The nature of Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman, it became clear to him what actually Nirguna Brahman is and how it manifests as Saguna Brahman. What is the vyavahar or utility of name and form and function, even for Vedanta? So anytime you want to deal with something, even if it's to learn Vedanta and become enlightened, you need name, form, and function. You need the world of Maya. And therefore, you need that absolute reality to be the god of Maya also, of this god of religion. Anyway, all these instructions, all these corollaries I am drawing, but his original description in his essay is also very nice. Rick says, regarding fulfillment of desires, is there Sanskrit phrase that translates as first deserve, then desire? Actually, this one thing I did not mention. When Nachiketa says this, I who am full of faith, I ask for this teaching. There is something, this is all from the Purva Mimamsa philosophy. It says, Arthitvam. Arthitvam means, I am fit to have this purpose. So purpose means this is what I want in life, but I'm fit for it. So I'm qualified for it. I have faith in the Vedic system. I am ready. I have got this. I'm well trained. I have this kind of knowledge, and I desire heaven. This kind of all qualifications are there. You can transmit that knowledge to me. Otherwise, it won't work. Just because the Lord of Death said, "I'll give you 3 boons, and you can ask for 1 boon. You can say this knowledge. Give that knowledge to me." He may give it to you, but it will be of no use to you unless you deserve it. So first deserve and then desire. Correct. We may get many things we thought we wanted. They may come to us. You notice you're not able to enjoy it properly. To even enjoy the things which you desire, you need some certain qualifications, certain capacity, certain time, certain state of mind, certain frame of mind to enjoy things. Even the tastiest food, the most wonderful music, the highest literature, you need that qualification, that cultivation of the mind, that much leisure, that frame and that mood of mind in order to even savor these things. Swami Vivekananda put it in another way. A fool might collect an entire library, but he will read only the ones he deserves to read, and only those books he deserves to read. And I look around all the books around me and I say the veritable truth of Swami Vivekananda's words. A fool may collect an entire library, but will read only the books he deserves to read. Correct. Prabir Basu, can there be only joy without sorrow? Only temporarily. So even in our own lives, there are periods of great happiness and fulfillment, only temporarily. For us, it lasts for a short while, and again, it's a dissatisfactory state. For those in heaven, it can last for a long time. And even there will be some little problems like jealousy and so on and so forth. And demons. Shanli says, does God forgive our past karma by present good deeds and karma? No. What may happen is present good deeds and karma, if they are powerful, if you keep on doing good deeds and good karma, they will start giving results. So the bad karma is suppressed or pushed to the back. Also, by the grace of God, the results of bad karma are minimized. Holy Mother Masharda said this, where one might have been pierced by a spear, or one might have lost a leg or something, a terrible accident, you will get a pinprick. So that's a vast difference. You'll still suffer, but much, much less than what you will suffer. So what makes the difference? Devotion to God and the grace of God. It can minimize our suffering. It can save us from a lot of pain and misery. But then you have to have devotion to God and worship God. Jai Shri says, are homams like the Rudram Chandi Homa part of Karma Kanda? Yes, they're part of Karma Kanda. But remember, the way we do that in Vedanta is we convert it into karma yoga. So the same rituals without the worldly goals or otherworldly goals. You repeat the chanting, you may perform particular rituals also, including the fire sacrifices, but without desiring worldly things or otherworldly things. You will do it only as a worship of God. So then you will get purification of mind, the qualifications for Vedanta, and ultimately enlightenment. All those things will come. See, we all do pujas. So one may do Durga Puja, the big pujas for worldly benefits. Or one may simply do it, let all beings be happy, grant me devotion, grant me knowledge, grant me dispassion for the world, O Mother. That means make me fit for spirituality. Then it becomes, that same ritual becomes karma yoga. It's not just karma, it becomes karma yoga. It becomes part of your spiritual practice. Shravani says, are the gods, Indra, etc., more like positions? Absolutely, they're like positions. So in the position, not that Indra continues to live forever, the position continues forever, but the people who occupy that, like the President of the United States, it's a position and of enormous power. And the sentient beings who come and occupy that, they keep changing. But these positions are not for 4 years or 5 years, they are for millions of years. So, and in the case of the highest God, they are for the entire duration of the universe, one cycle of creation, existence, and destruction. But they are positions. And so in one universe, the one who is Indra, the king of the gods, the one who is a god of fire or whatever, in the next universe, there might be a different Indra, there will be a different Indra, and so on. Gloria says the Swarga Loka sounds a lot like near-death experiencer, near-death experiencers experience. Yes, yes. Which leads us to believe that there is definitely something in all of this, because in many religions these things are described, and in, I would say, incredibly similar ways. And also people who maybe today don't believe in any particular religion but have similar experiences at the verge of death, or like a near-death experience. So there is something to it. So Vedanta, no, we are not interested in these things. The whole point is you turn away from these things. The more you're interested in object and objective existence, whether this worldly or next worldly, you're caught in samsara. It is just an extension of samsara, a better part of samsara, more rarefied part of samsara, but even there are problems, and there's an end to it. We are in Manhattan, you see the skyline from Central Park. There's something called the Billionaires Row. So there is very tall, there's the skinniest building in the world, tallest, skinniest building in the world. It's more than 100 floors and all. So only billionaires live there. And somebody was telling me that, what do they have? In the 80th floor, 100th floor, the building is swaying a little bit. So it's a little scary. And some other little problems are there. And the garbage chute makes a sound or something like that. So somebody said these are the woes, the sufferings of billionaires. So there's still some problem going on, even at that high level, rarefied level. Sudhir says, so isn't that heaven is same as rich persons like earth? Correct. At least the lower heavens. And some of them, like the Brahma Loka, is not just being a rich person, but also being a spiritual rich person. So that's a nice thing. Vedanta is higher than that. You don't have to be a spiritual rich person and go and live in the highest heaven for millions of years. You get the highest, which is complete fulfillment, complete cessation of suffering. You get infinity itself here and now by Brahma Jnana, by becoming enlightened, far higher than all of this. The problem of being rich and spiritual is, I'll tell you, I met this person who is one of India's leading motivational speakers, young man, very good personality. I mean, you just like him on, when you meet him, and he inspires lots of young college students, boys and girls. But he is a very, very dynamic speaker. He's also a multi-millionaire, owns a big company. The way I met him was he wanted to speak to me. So I just heard about him. He flew me out from Calcutta to Delhi and brought me to his office. He spent 6 hours. I said, "What about your job?" I said, "Oh, that's in Hindi." He said, "Oh, to aisa hi hai, Swami ji, time pass karne ke liye." I said, "What about your in his corporate headquarters? 6 hours he was not attending to any business." He said, "Oh, Swami, that's just like that. It's just to pass time. You have to do something and do that. But my real interest is in spiritual life." And I could see that he's genuinely vastly well read in Vedanta, Buddhism, and a regular meditator, seriously interested, and some genuine spiritual insight is there. I could see that. But the interesting thing is, what happened was, he has a group of followers. One of them said to me afterwards, they're all starry-eyed about him. One of them said to me that our goal is to be like him. And I know I want to become a millionaire and become enlightened. You don't have to become a millionaire to become enlightened, which is just so attractive that I get both. I get to be a millionaire and a billionaire, and I also become enlightened spiritual master. No, it sort of confuses the issue. I'm sure he is fine, but those who, it's so shiny and nice that people want all of that together. Whereas Vedanta says not at all necessary. And not, in fact, it can be an enormous distraction to be involved in the world in that way and also try to pursue spirituality. Shweta Singh says, Shweta Singh Kirti says, if the pleasures of heaven are not ultimately fulfilling, then why would somebody like to spend a long time there? Because of desire. On earth, people, after having everything they want, they start feeling depressed. Yes, the speciality of this world, they call it Matya Loka. The speciality of this world is, it's that unique balance of suffering and pleasure, pain and pleasure, which evokes in us this question about the point of it all. The reason why this question does not come to very rich people, Hollywood, nearby there are these areas. All the big stars don't live in Hollywood now. They all live in this Beverly Hills, one or two places. I forgot the names. They're very well known. Bel Air is one place, I think. So they all live there. Now, so are you being very spiritual by living there? You have seen all the desires being fulfilled? No, 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 not at all. You're so rich and so famous and so full of life, is full of parties. There's no time for serious spiritual pursuit. You may become curious once in a while, but things are so good you quickly forget that again. That discipline and that renunciation necessary to pursue that seriously. Not that some are not deeply spiritual, some are, but again it's difficult. So it's very difficult for very rich people, and it's very difficult for people who are suffering a lot. So in heaven and in hell, it's difficult to be spiritual. If things are going perfectly well for you, it's difficult to have that motivation to search for the higher truth. If things are going horribly for you, you don't have the time, energy, the calmness of mind to sit down and investigate this. So this world where we are is a good balance it's a good place for Vedanta. Shri says, can one decide to pursue enlightenment while residing in the loka? Yes. Or they have to descend at least one more time to earth. Can we assume that this would be their last birth? Yes, to all of them. They are those, this is called krama mukti, sequential liberation. You have practiced spirituality in this world and you have not attained enlightenment because of great good karma. You're a good person, so you go to heaven after death. Now there you continue your spiritual quest. These ideas are there. And then you will, there itself you will attain enlightenment. You don't have to come back to this world. But if a person has desires, then after enjoying heaven, one comes back to this world and again practices spiritual practices. And Krishna says that in the 6th chapter of the Gita, that such people will come back again, but it will be their last birth, and they will get enlightenment in that birth itself. So all of this is possible, all these are alternatives. So there's a link shared by Pranav and a documentary to Swami Chinmayanji. Yes, I've seen that documentary. It's very nice. Vishwanath says Tapovanji also did not allow in note taking in the class. I think that must be true. Yeah. Alpana says, after enlightenment, can one want to keep coming to enjoy these manifestations? Now, that kind of wanting will not be there, but one may keep coming if, Sri Ramakrishna says, by the will of God. That coming will not be there for enjoyment of manifestation. The coming will be there for helping others. So Sri Ramakrishna says there are some Nitya Siddhas, ever perfected ones. They are not coming back here to practice spirituality and get enlightenment. They are already enlightened, they are already free, and yet for some reason they have maintained their individualities. They are not one with Brahman in the sense that there's no more individual left. They can come back as enlightened beings to help others. Often when avatars come, so Ramakrishna says, when avatars come, a group of companions come with that avatar. Come means they are also born, and they come close to the avatar and they become the disciples, like the apostles of Christ or the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, who helped the avatar. Some of those, not all. Sri Ramakrishna identified 6, I think, who were already, he said, Nitya Siddha. They are already liberated even before they came. So they have come because of the will of God to help God. I mean, help the avatar in the mission. Shweta Singh Kirti, do they have Vedanta in heaven? Yes. Then it can be worthwhile staying there. Yes, but not all heavens. Some heavens are just made for enjoyment. But there are, the Brahmaloka, for example, is full of enlightened beings or spiritual beings. So I'm sure they have Vedanta classes there. You can, I don't know if you can transfer credits from this class to there. Nitin says, since heavens and hells are mostly indicative different states of mind, does it mean that jealousy is a tougher problem to get rid of than kama, krodha, lobha, moha? I have not really thought of it about it that way. Jealousy is a deep problem. Even like spiritual seekers can become jealous. So it is a deep problem. But I don't know if that's why the gods are jealous of each other. And a good way to understand that is actually to look at very famous, very rich people, celebrities, the way they behave in this world is a good indicator of what these celestial beings would do. Don't worry too much about them. They are outside our purview. We are going ahead. We're going to say goodbye to them very soon. Nachiketa has very harsh words about them. It's going to come. He will say very clearly, the little boy to Yama, I don't want any part of this. He says he will say it's like a horror show, all of it, from heaven to earth down to hell. The whole thing is something that you must transcend as soon as possible. Nitin Pawwal, does everyone in Satyaloka necessarily get Krama Mukti at the end of the cycle? No. It is very clear. Those who still have desires at the end of the cycle, even in the highest heaven, then they will wait for an interminable time until the next creation. I mean, next time when time starts, space starts, universe starts, and then they'll be reborn again to work out their spiritual destiny. Some of them will not be reborn, those who become enlightened there in heaven itself. Rodrigo says, so many questions about heaven. Just see how attractive it is. It's full of questions about heaven. Rodrigo, I'll just take this and stop. Aren't those karma to become manasa puja? Then those rituals were all performed in the mind? Yes. The idea is in the Vedas, you have actual physical rituals which are to be performed, like this, what Yamaraja taught Nachiketa. But at a certain stage, you would evolve beyond the necessity to perform rituals physically, and you could visualize them in your mind. Manasa puja. We even do that now with our modern pujas. We can physically do the puja outside, with flowers and incense and the utensils for the puja, instruments, or you can visualize all of it and do it. In fact, not or, both are to be done. Those who do physically are also instructed to do it mentally. Those who do it mentally, you can do it only mentally without doing physically also. Krishna, Shiva, Brahma, Shweta asks, are they also positions? Krishna is an avatar, not a position. So that is unique. Shiva is God with a capital G, not a position. That is unique, eternal. They are not that different sentient beings can become Shiva, not at all. But Brahma is a position. In each cycle of creation, a new Brahma. Brahma means the creator of the universe. So that's not God with the capital G. That is, it comes, is manifested in each cycle. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.